Morning, everyone. Josh here, Solopreneur Grind. It is the SG Daily number 55 for Wednesday, May the 8th. We are already cruising through May. Hope your week is going well. And today I wanted to kind of continue along the train of the week or the theme of the week, especially off of yesterday, which is coming up with new ideas, business ideas, whatever ideas. And the reason for that is because I'm kind of doing it with my firm right now, as I mentioned yesterday, in the sense that there's one service offering that's working really well that kind of trying to double down on a little bit, but also think of ways to go up or down the customer value chain. So let's say you're providing product A. Well, what can I also provide either as a follow-up service or as a, before that service to kind of get people in the door quicker. And the reason for that is the legal service that I offer is pretty specific, right? It's pretty niche. And so part of the thinking is, that it's not a short sales process, but it's not a super long sales process, but it's definitely a sales process. And so part of the thinking on my end is, well, what's another way to get those conversations or potential customers into those conversations even quicker? Or is there a related service I could provide that would kind of push people along towards the next one, if that makes sense? Almost like the opposite of like an upsell. So you go to McDonald's, you want a burger? Oh, it's an extra 50 cents for the fries, whatever. That's how it started out. Now it's, the value meal. The burger is $7. Well, for $8, you can get a drink and fries. This is kind of the opposite, where it would be like, hey, what something McDonald's will do to get you in the door. So what McDonald's does is, they have these, they do the Monopoly and they do all these other promotions to try and get you into the restaurant so that you will buy their product. And so what I'm trying to think of is, well, what can I do to get my potential customers talking to me for a related reason that will then lead them to the primary service offering? So there's been a few things I've been doing. Wanted to kind of share what I've been doing, how I've been trying to come up with these ideas. Number one, I'm in the process of doing, which is setting up calls with those potential clients, right? The easiest way to figure out what potential clients need is usually to ask them, or to, especially previous clients, because they've already paid you money, right? So the one thing that the one thing that I think gets talked about a lot and maybe gets debated a little bit, but probably isn't debated enough, is in terms of market research. When people say, well, go ask people if they'll buy. But I don't really like that, because there's a much bigger difference between asking someone to buy and making them buy, or figuring out if they actually will buy, right? Because if you go to a group of 10 of your friends and say, hey man, I'm designing this new t-shirt, it's going to be state of the art, blah, 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 I'm thinking of trying it out, would you buy it? Probably a lot of them are going to say, oh yeah, sure, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they'll ask a few questions, yeah, I would buy it. But there's two factors. Number one is they're a family or friend, so they're biased, and part of their mind is probably thinking, well, I want to support this guy. And number two is you're not actually asking them to buy. So it's easy for someone to say, yes, I'll buy something, when they don't have to buy it then, right? So if you're going to do stuff like that, my suggestion would be go to the friend and say, hey man, I have these shirts made. Here's the picture, here's the design, tell them about all the features and benefits. Do you want to buy one right now? I'm trying to sell them, or I'm pre-ordering them. That's an even better one, right? Pre-order, take money up front, because then you're being honest and they won't be disappointed when you say, oh, I don't have the product ready. But if you're just going to family, friends, whatever, and saying, hey, would you buy this? My assumption would be that the percentage that say yes is probably higher than the percentage that would actually buy if you had the product. So there's that part to it. Now, what you can do is you go to people who have already paid you, and or if you can't do that, maybe you don't have any yet, ask very specific questions, right? So not would you buy this? It's kind of a dumb question, because unless you have the product and you can sell it to them right then and there, you'll never know exactly how many people would actually buy it. But what you can do is get very specific and learn what the true needs, desires, pain points are, so that you can give your product the best chance of hitting those desires and pain points, so that when you actually have it, it has a better chance of making sales. So, hey, what do you think of this? Where are you struggling in the area of X? What would you want help in the area of Y? You know what I mean? What are companies doing wrong now that you think they could improve on in area Z or whatever? So very specific questions. The more specific, the better. So that's number one, right? Talking to people, talking to potential clients, previous clients. Number two is, this is going to sound stupid, but thinking a lot, right? Because a lot of it, I don't want to say a lot of it, there's a good chunk of business that's just pure logic, right? There's millionaires out there who just started lawn mowing companies or snow removal or whatever, insert service business here. And the point of that is they're not brilliant products or services. They're ones that have been around for a long time, but there was a need for it in the market and they did it really well, right? And they worked really hard, and probably a few other things. But the moral of that story is you don't have to think about the most brilliant product or service. What you do have to do is think about and learn about what is actually needed. How can you do it well? How can you improve on it? How could you start a new industry, not new industry, but maybe a new niche? How could you improve on a current niche, right? And that requires a lot of thinking, a lot of not checking your phone and actually thinking, right? A lot of not having your email open and actually thinking. So I'm doing a little more thinking than normal. Usually, I think I do a lot of thinking in general, but anyways. And then one last point I'll touch on quickly, just because we're getting up to the 7-minute mark here, is reading about people who have done what you're trying to do, right? I'm reading the Elon Musk biography right now, highly recommended. This guy is figuratively and probably soon to be literally on another planet in terms of the way he thinks, plans, operates, approaches business, and all that good stuff. And it's motivational, and it's getting me thinking a little bit differently, right? So pick up some Richard Branson's biography, did the same thing to me when I read his, just the way he thought of and approached business. And, they're huge motivations. And part of it too is just reading about people who have done it. It gives you that a little bit more internal confidence to say, oh, other people have done it. I think I can do it too. So the 3 tips for today are, number 1, talk to your previous or potential clients, ask them really good questions. Number 2, take a little bit more time to think. Once you've kind of collected the right information, do a lot of thinking, brainstorming. You can even do it with other people, right? Go for dinner with people, bounce ideas off each other, whatever. Number 3 is just read more, especially about people who have done similar things to what you're doing, right? I'm reading Elon Musk biography. I'm not getting into the space industry, that's for sure. But there's so much relatable stuff in business that you can definitely, take pieces from here and there to apply it. So anyways, if you're struggling to start your first business, maybe you're already working on one, maybe you're thinking of expanding one, hopefully this has helped you a little bit. If you have any questions, just leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, like, all that good stuff, depending on how you're watching or listening to it on. And hope your day's going well. I'll talk to you tomorrow.